Hello everyone, Neil Tappin here from Golf Monthly. I hope you are well. In this video, we are going to take a look at 10 of the biggest golf gear trends for 2020. So what you're going to watch is a conversation that took place at the start of the year between myself and Joel Tadman at West Hill Golf Club, looking at some of the things that we'd seen in Orlando. Now, the event in Orlando in January is where the golf manufacturers present to the world what they've got coming. And we saw some trends emerging in the driver market, in putters, golf balls, you name it. Then we all went into lockdown. And so we decided to put this video on the back burner. We feel like now that for a lot of people, golf is back on the agenda, we thought it was a good time to refresh memories about some of the golf equipment that's launching, some of the ideas, some of the trends that you'll see in terms of golf equipment, so that you know what to expect when you're up at the golf club this year, and also perhaps give you some inspiration about your next buying choice. Guys, if you're new to the Golf Monthly channel, please do hit the subscribe button to make sure that you don't miss any of our videos. Hit the like button if you like what you're watching. But let's start now. Let's take a look at the 10 biggest golf gear trends for 2020.
Okay, so as Neil alluded to there, the first trend we're going to be looking at for 2020 is around the golf ball. And traditionally you might think a golf ball, it's always been white, round, it's got dimples, but actually brands are using a lot of colours in their golf balls this year. Now, why are they doing that?
Well, I think there's two trends actually, Joel, to talk about here. There's one relates to the colour and the changing, sort of the more options that you've got in terms of the colour you can go for, and also the kind of alignment markings that you're finding on modern day golf balls. So you're going to find a lot more colour options to go for. Certainly Titleist launched their Velocity range of golf balls. There's a whole host of different colours. This is the sort of matte green version that I've got here. I think this really sort of stands out, looks good. Even up to the Pro V1, Pro V1 X level, you've always got that kind of yellow option. So if you are a golfer who does struggle to see your golf ball in kind of different light conditions, if it's sort of dappled sunlight or in lower light conditions, then maybe a coloured golf ball might be the way to go, because you've got so many different options to choose from. And then you've also got these alignment markings that you're finding quite a lot of. Joel's in his hands there's got the triple track that is produced by Callaway. It's obviously also in the Odyssey putters as well for this year. I've got what Titleist have brought into their Tour Soft range, but you've also got TaylorMade's Pix golf balls. What do you think, Joel, of these? Would you use a golf ball like that to help you with your alignment?
I'm not someone that uses line on my golf ball, but I think given the variety of options that are now available, I'm definitely thinking about converting into some sort of new side stamp design, so whether that's triple track or the Tour Soft. There's a few others out there as well. So I think it's definitely going to convert some golfers into it.
It's not for everyone, because for some people it's just too fiddly.
Yeah, and it takes too much time and it is a bit distracting. But I think if you're looking to add a bit of personality to your game, if you want to just use something that's a bit different to what everyone else is using, I think a colour golf ball is definitely the way to go.
Okay, so the next one relates to drivers, and a trend that we've noticed that there's actually probably less adjustability now in drivers than there was this time last year. Is that fair, Joel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. You know, previous years we've seen the brands trying to bring out just one head that could be tweaked lots of different ways to give golfers specific performance for them. But actually now brands are introducing more different types of head with less adjustability to cater for different golfers. And I think it does, while fitting is really important, it does simplify the process to a degree, in that you can just pick up a driver with this head that's got limited adjustability on it and get on with it straight away.
Yeah, I think the days of the sort of ultra low spin setup, I suspect that brands were maybe finding that the portion of the market using those ultra low spin setups, so low spin head with the weights all the way forward, was so small, especially given with the work they do with their tour players. If their fastest swingers, their tour players, aren't using it in that setup, then perhaps it was a piece of technology they could remove to use that weight elsewhere in the head.
Yes, right, and we've seen that with the sim drivers from TaylorMade, and there's a whole host of other brands. You think about Callaway, Maverick, Mizuno, they've all got draw biased lightweight options in their range which maybe they didn't have before. So it just gives consumers another option to consider without having to worry about very complex and confusing adjustability that can feature on the drivers.
One driver, however, that does sort of buck the trend slightly is this Mizuno ST200G, the one with the two movable weights in the head here that can set the spin forward or back or help you set a draw or fade bias. This kind of butts the trend, and I know it's getting quite a lot of chat of this driver, isn't it, Joel?
Well, you're putting it very well. It's definitely one of the best performing drivers out there. So, yeah, there is obviously benefits to adjustability, and I would never say that the adjustable drivers are dead by any means, but I think always looking to simplify the process and make the buying decision a bit more easier for golfers, and taking away adjustability can do that. Right, okay, so for gear trend number 3, we're circling back to golf balls, but specifically we're talking about the cover of a golf ball. And traditionally, you know, urethane covered golf balls have always come in at that very premium price to get the best short game control. But now, Neil, we're seeing brands launching urethane golf balls at a more competitive price.
Yeah, we've seen 2 interesting launches this year on this front. And the first is the TaylorMade Tour Response. This is 3-piece construction from TaylorMade, but it has that same urethane cover and dimple pattern that you get with the TP5 and the TP5X, so not offering all the same performance benefits as the TaylorMade Tour ball, but not far off it. And then you also have the Strixon Q-Star Tour. Now, I've tested this one and I liked it quite a lot, actually. I've not hit the Strixon one. What did you think of that, Joel?
Yeah, I've hit the Strixon, and actually I feel like the gaps between what the premium golf balls are offering and these types of golf balls is actually closing quite a lot, and I think you're really not sacrificing that much, especially at amateur level. And also you've got a lot of other brands that you really need to think about, some lesser known brands, things like Kirkland, you've got Inesis, you've got Vice Golf. A lot of them are online only, but they're offering urethane covered golf balls at a lower price point. So if your budgets are a little bit tight but you still want that short game control, there are a lot of really good options out there.
One thing you're certainly going to notice when you pop into the pro shop this year is bolder visuals on the putter selection that you've got to choose from. Certainly it's going to be noticeable when you look at the Odyssey range and their triple track putters, but it's something that we're noticing across the board really, isn't it, Joel?
Yeah, bolder use of colours and just general design in terms of the shape. We're seeing brands really kind of highlighting that alignment feature and using the real estate you get with mallet putters to create more prominent alignment aids. We've seen it with the Ping Hepler design. I've been really impressed with a lot of designs on there. Lots of contrasting colours to really get you lined up and give you a sharper focus onto where you really want to hit the ball.
Yeah, you'll see it with Odyssey's triple track putters. Joel's got the Cleveland Frontline there, which has got a striking look to it as well. Don't forget also Scotty Cameron and their Phantom range of putters. There's a whole host to choose from there. So bolder putter visuals to help you really get aligned is definitely something you're going to notice this year.
Right, so the next gear trend for 2020 is all around footwear, and specifically we're seeing, Neil, a shift towards brand really focusing on their spikeless footwear.
Yeah, so at the start of the year, Joel and I went to Orlando where they have a big PGA show, sort of all the key manufacturers highlighting what they've got coming in the year. It was interesting how the sort of leading footwear brands were all going big on their spikeless designs. I thought Echo with their S3 design, Adidas with their Code Chaos, that was obviously incredibly striking, and don't forget FootJoy with their Pro SL, really popular spikeless design. It was just noticeable to me, I thought, this year how much more emphasis there seems to be in the spikeless market.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is that the grip you get from the spikeless shoe isn't far short of where cleated shoes are, and obviously in addition to that you're still getting really good stability and you're still getting the off-course versatility as well that some golfers are looking for. So really, yeah, there is no weakness of spikeless shoes. They're kind of the shoes that you can wear on and off the course. They give you really good performance and they look great too.
So the next one relates to irons, and something that we've noticed in models that have been designed with your sort of higher handicapper or game improver in mind. Joel, what is it?
It's all about improving the sound and feel of those oversized irons. So traditionally, oversized game improvement irons have always been quite harsh and quite loud sounding, but we're seeing brands really not wanting to give golfers a reason not to buy them by improving the sound and feel, and they're incorporating all sorts of different technologies to really dampen the vibrations and lower the sound to really make it feel and sound a bit more like a small cavity back or even like a muscle back design.
Yeah, I think this is one area where the manufacturers are really focused. They've put a lot of technology into the heads to make them as forgiving and as powerful as possible, but they're also now working on the feel and the sound of them as well. So you are getting definitely models that are aimed at higher handicappers that look great and they feel good too.
So the next gear trend of 2020 is all about the driver, and specifically, Neil, trying to help golfers combat that slice shot that people really don't want to hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been drivers out there that you've been able to set up with a draw bias, that have had a draw bias built into them, that have sat slightly closed to help people, combat that slice. But this year we've seen a couple of really interesting launches, I thought. Firstly, you had the Wilson launch pad, which, Joel, you hit.
Yeah, I have hit that.
And could you slice it?
You cannot slice that driver, I tell you. It's really incredible. I recommend it. If you're a slicer, give it a try.
And the other interesting one I thought was the Mizuno ST200X driver, which has a very lightweight shaft, lightweight grip, has weight moved into the heel, also sits as slightly closed as well, so really is unashamedly set up to help you sort of prevent that slice shot.
And also, it's not just high handicappers that actually benefit from these sorts of drivers. Even some tour players are opting for these draw bias lightweight options over standard or low spinning drivers. So don't just think if you're a low handicapper you're not going to benefit from a draw bias club, because actually you might want to turn the ball over a little bit more easily. So it could well be the answer to finding more fairways for you.
Now, one trend that we've seen this year isn't a new one, but it's definitely gathering pace, and that is stronger lofts in your iron sets. I'm sure that if you're watching this and if you watch a lot of our videos, you will know that when we test 7 irons, they seem to be getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and that is a trend that doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon.
No, it's a continuing trend, and manufacturers say it's justified from the way that they're adjusting the design of the heads to launch higher with more speed. And I would definitely say that is the case to a degree. You know, I've tested generation to generation stronger lofts. Actually, the flight isn't coming down. If anything, it's getting higher. So it is justified to strengthen the loft to make the ball flights more manageable. And we've seen launches like the Titleist T400, which I think the 7-iron is down at 26 degrees. Yeah, pretty strong. Pretty strong, isn't it? There's a new Yonex 701 E-Zone, which is at 27 degrees. So yes, lofts are getting stronger, but I do think that that it is justified and there is extra performance to be had to warrant that.
It does potentially cause you a slight issue at the bottom end of the bag. So even for those golfers that have always only ever carried 2 wedges, even those players might want to look at investing in a 3rd wedge, and it just causes a problem in terms of your makeup of the set as a whole. You need to kind of rethink the whole thing, but rest assured this trend towards stronger iron lofts isn't going to stop anytime soon.
Right, so the next trend, we'll talk about technology and specifically how golfers can use it to analyse their performance and really target their improvements in certain areas, Neil. So how can they do that?
Yeah, well, the 2 that I've used have been ShotScope and Arcos, and effectively it's shot tracking. So with Arcos, you're finding that in quite a few manufacturers, they're building the chips into the golf club, so when you hit shots, it tracks exactly where those shots have gone, how far they've gone, and it can feed that data back into your game. ShotScope works with the watch that you use, that offers you all the GPS distances that you might need, but every time you hit a shot, again, it records what you've done and it can give you that feedback. It's very interesting, and actually getting data about what you're doing on the golf course is very, very different to what you would be doing on the range. Potentially can make a big difference to people's games.
Yeah, and Arcos have actually taken it one step further with their recent rangefinder update, whereby it takes into account the conditions that you're playing in and also the previous shot history to recommend a club and give you a number, an exact number, taking all those factors into account. It's a bit scary, but I think it really does have the potential to improve your game a lot quicker.
Okay, so the last one to talk about is hybrid-like iron sets. It's something that we used to see maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, quite sort of chunky looking hybrid-like iron sets. They might have sort of drifted out, but they seem to be back again.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why they're making a comeback, but they unquestionably make the game a lot easier for maybe if you're a beginner to the game or you've got quite a high handicap. You know, compared to traditional looking irons, they definitely are easier to hit. They're hollow-headed irons, so they're really forgiving, they're a lot faster. And while actually the lofts of these irons aren't as strong as you might think they are, they definitely get the ball up in the air a lot easier. And the other thing to think about is how forgiving they are through the turf. Because they've got such wide soles, they really don't have a propensity to dig, so they glide through the turf. If you hit the ground slightly heavy, you're going to get away with it an awful lot more.
Yeah, definitely something worth thinking about for 2020. So there you have it. That is our list of the 10 golf gear trends for 2020. Guys, what do you think? Please do leave comments below. Any of those that you think might be sort of adopted into your game, we'd be very interested to hear your thoughts, or anything that we've missed. Please do let us know. We'd be interested to hear. But that's all for now from West Hill. We will see you next time.
Goodbye.